Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and I can finally reveal what vehicles you can get for free in the months of May and June by watching my Twitch stream, and it is going to be Heavy Tank number 6, which is identical to Tiger 131, it's a tier 6 Japanese Tiger, and also the one and only Mega Gun Depression Dicker Max. Now, to help you on your way, Wargaming have actually already given me 2 codes that you can redeem as of this video being released that will give you tokens and also give you access to missions that you can do in the game to get ahead on your quest to get the Japanese Tiger or the Dicker Max. So redeem these 2 codes, which I'll link in the description and the comment down below right now. And if you're sitting on the fence about which one of these 2 vehicles that you should pick in the month of May and June, well, I picked 2 awesome replays from the World of Tanks community to maybe be a little bit of a decider for you. Firstly, we have the pleasure of watching TAHKisLegendAgain, playing in Heavy Tank number 6. This vehicle, as I said, is identical to Tiger 131, which we see just in front of us, but it has all of the benefits of training up your Japanese heavy tank crews instead of your German heavy tank crews. This vehicle is just awesome at tier 6. It's got big hit points and it's got big damage per minute. And with a liberal helping of gold rounds, it's got enough penetration to be able to deal with higher tier tanks as well. Just look at the hit points that Heavy Tank number 6 is packing here, 1,210. That must be because TAHK is deciding to use a durability device on this vehicle. And it's a good choice on a tank like this, because when you've got a lot of hit points, improving them can really help you to be able to get through the battle. I personally like to combine that with a gun rammer and vents on this vehicle to make it this all-round damage per minute powerhouse that also has the durability to be able to keep that gun singing. However, on certain maps, you might want to really drop out a durability device for a turbo, but that is going to be up to you and your matter of preference. Some people will want to take coated optics on this vehicle on those kind of snipey maps to really be able to engage their opponents at long range, or maybe just spot them for their allies. So, Heavy Tank number 6 is all about those hit points and the damage per minute, but also, as you can see, TAHK is showing you some really good side-scraping techniques here. What a lot of people don't realize is that while the Japanese Tiger and the Heavy Tank number 6 and even the Tiger at tier 7 don't really have that much armor to talk about, if you do angle it from the side, you can actually pull off quite a few bounces. It's just when your opponents don't shoot at the side of your tank, as we can see here, the ricochets, and hit that nice big boxy front, your vehicle can truly struggle. I feel like a lot of people overthink Tigers inside the game. They are large amounts of hit points and large amounts of damage per minute, and you've sometimes got to take hits to make hits as well. It's about getting stuck in while you still have those hit points to be able to take your opponents hopefully out of the battle and hopefully deal a bit more damage to them than they've dealt to you. So TAHK manages to lock down the tracks of an IS, then comes around the corner and bounces off a BZ-58. I think he was going to plan on going for the IS there, but bailed out and went for the side of the Chinese heavy tank instead. But oh, that is just clean right in to the tier 7 heavy. TAHK is really not shying away from this fight, and that's how I like to see Japanese Tigers play, and even just any of the Tigers play. As I said, damage per minute, hit points, unreliable armor. Although it is bouncing that IS, although to be fair, that IS is using a very small gun on an IS. I think that is the same gun that you have on the T-34-85, not something you want to be packing on a tier 7 heavy, as that one is stock. So TAHK comes around the corner, tries to put a round against the KV-1S, fails to be able to hit the vehicle, but luckily manages to avoid the shell from the KV-1S. The KV-1S turns around to deal with the T-29 behind them, which gives TAHK the perfect opportunity. Oh, I don't like that play. I think you should have focused the KV-2 in this situation, as now the Soviet gun is bearing upon you. But luckily, the KV-2 gets finished off by the Karo 88. And oh gosh, there goes TAHK's final few hit points as they set the KV-1S on fire, pull back behind the wreck of the KV-2. And look at this. Just like that, in the first 4 minutes of this battle, TAHK has done over 3,000 damage in a tier 6 tank. Look, if this was a tier 8, a 9, or even a 10, I think a lot of us would be really happy with that kind of a result so far. Yet, TAHK, with the durability device, still has a few more hit points to be able to give the enemy team a hard time. And boy, are they going to make these hit points do a lot of work. Okay, so TAHK has shown you how good the Japanese Tiger can be for that I don't care, I'm just going to damage you as much as I can, and if you manage to damage me, oh well, I've got the hit points to be able to tank it. Now TAHK is going to have to play a little bit more intelligently. Not that it really is sometimes the best thing to do in the Japanese Tiger early on in the battle, but definitely later on when you have no hit points. A lot of people in this tank, they think they're playing well when they're not actually committing to the situation. But I think that kind of aggressive gameplay where TAHK was able to pick up 3k quickly in a battle was very important to actually keep their team in it. If we look at the hit points at the top, TAHK's team is still down by 2,000 hit points, even though they're even on vehicles. If TAHK didn't play so hard and aggressive in that situation, it's very likely that his team would have got themselves in an insurmountable deficit compared to the enemy, both with regards to their hit points and also with regards to the number of tanks on the field. I see a lot of players not willing to commit to situations, and I think those players will not do so well in this vehicle. But, you know, that's why you're all here. You're all here to see great players like TAHK show you what tanks like this is all about. And trust me, committing in a Tiger, be it a Japanese Tiger or be it the Tier 7 German tank tree tank, is oh so important if you want to be effective in this vehicle. So the armor on this thing, as we've seen, it's not bad. It's 100 at the front, 80 at the side. It's basically the same armor that you have at Tier 7. And while the armor at Tier 7 doesn't work very well, we can see TAHK's actually managed to block enough to be able to finish off their vehicle 2 times over, albeit it was against some stock tanks that don't look like they were firing gold at TAHK, so definitely fortunate within that regard. But considering this is bad matchmaking for this vehicle, not meeting any of those lovely Tier 5s that this vehicle can meet, then that really shows you what this vehicle will be able to do inside a nice matchup. So TAHK actually doesn't get spotted by this P43 BIS here, which is great for him. That allows TAHK to be able to finish off the Tier 6 Italian medium tank, save their artillery, get them in the game, and he should be safe now. Because look, there's 3 vehicles going after the T29, surely they're going to be able to handle the Tier 7 American Heavy, and that will allow TAHK to instead turn around and go after the Basotto. Well, actually, the Britannia Panther decided that they weren't going to go after the T29, leading the Caro and the Tiger that were going after the American Heavy now in a little bit of a deficit as the Tiger falls, leaving the Caro now locked in a 1v1. However, TAHK is still wanting to work together using the communication features very well to let the Britannia Panther know to hold on and to fall back, and I will help you, and get stuck in there and try and get the rear of the Basotto. It's clear to me that TAHK isn't using a turbo on this vehicle, as the top speed of the Japanese Tiger is actually 40 kilometers an hour, but it does have rather poor power to weight ratio of just over 12 and mediocre ground resistances as well, which really does stop this thing from getting up to its top speed. A lot of people will want to end up using a turbo on this tank to be able to not only increase that already awesome top speed of 40 kilometers an hour, but to give the vehicle the engine power, that grunt, to be able to achieve it. Okay, so we're now 8 minutes into a 15-minute round of, well, possible 15-minute round of World of Tanks. And unfortunately, that T29 is not pulling any punches. Now up to 5 kills. And TAHK has now done 4,000 damage, but still only has 1 kill to their name. Probably almost guaranteed to have a Confederate medal at this point. And the T29 comes around the corner. TAHK bounces off the lower plate, but look behind the T29. The artillery actually misses in point-blank range, but hopefully that will provide TAHK with a bit of a distraction and allow them to put a round into the T29. Now meaning that they are in a 1 versus 2 scenario against higher tier tanks, of which the T29 is a formidable adversary, possibly the best tank at tier 7. And considering that the T29 is on a Top Gun, that means that they are absolutely no slouch. The Britannia Panther says, OMG RTY. I think the Britannia Panther did a great job. It would have just been nice if the RT had actually connected that shell, as the T29 would now be out the game. Oh wow, the T29 is deciding to have a little bit of fun with the IS wreck that TAHK helped to put in place earlier on in the battle. Now the T29 is just completely locked in place. You've got to be careful in this kind of scenario though, because the Super Hellcat could... Oh no! TAHK actually fluffs a shell at the side rather than the lower plate of the T29. And the Super Hellcat could appear at any moment to go and finish off TAHK. But considering that the T29 decided to push out, probably likely that the Super Hellcat is either hardcore super camping AFK or that they are a bot. But TAHK is not going to dilly-dally here and actually manages to find a shot into the back of the T-29. Oh my word, picking up their second kill of the game and shutting down a Top Gun tank on the enemy team. Well, Mr. T-29 should have played that one a little bit more intelligently there. Over-angled, didn't side-scrape perfectly. And TAHK says, I'm scared in capitals. And TAHK, I would be too against a full-health, sneaky American tank destroyer. So in this kind of a situation, I would say that the Super Hellcat would most likely be in this bush or alternatively be in the bushes up here. TAHK's going to go and actually try and poke these bushes, hoping, I guess, that the Super Hellcat is disconnected, or maybe that they've just been AFK for the whole battle. And yeah, this is the part of the game where TAHK was really hoping, I guess, that he wanted to pack a turbo. Because trying to find the Super Hellcat and where they may be, even if they are AFK in this situation, can be a little bit tricky. However, it's a good thing that they were using that durability device, otherwise TAHK certainly wouldn't have survived in this battle. So we can see now the top speed of the Japanese Tiger downslope there, up to 44 kilometers an hour, now down to 40 along the flat. And this is actually making me think, is TAHK actually using a turbo on this tank, but the vehicle is really just that slow? Maybe they got bad ground resistances. I mean, I genuinely thought that this vehicle would have been able to achieve more than that if they are. You tell me in the comments down below whether you think that TAHK was using the turbo in this situation. So that's the first time I think we've managed to see him go above 40 kilometers an hour. Alright, so in this kind of a situation, TAHK says maybe he is AFK. Need to find him. You know what, TAHK? I think you might be pulling the wool over your team's eyes. Right now, TAHK, you should be in that cap circle, because the Super Hellcat could be AFK anywhere, and it'll be hard for them to be able to find. How hard for you to be able to find them. However, TAHK says no in chat, so confidently. And look, the real reason why TAHK is not capping right now will become obvious very soon. And that is that they're kind of being a little bit greedy in this situation, much to the disappointment of their team. And oh my word, going at 11 up slope here. I truly hope this isn't the Tiger with a turbo, for the sake of everybody who's going to be picking them up for free by watching my Twitch stream and redeeming the codes and doing your monthly missions, or your weekly missions, actually. Alright, so TAHK going up here, trying to find this Super Hellcat. And TAHK is going to reveal, I'm going to speed this replay up just a little bit here, what the real reason is. So TAHK says, I can't get in cap anyway, need more time, Rip. No, you didn't. You just can't accept that you're being greedy for the real reason, and that is that TAHK says, I need 3 marks of excellence. As you can see, TAHK has 2 hatchets on their barrel. TAHK says they're at 94.6% marks, and that's the real reason why they're not capping now, is that they don't really care whether they win or lose if they have an opportunity to possibly find an AFK Super Hellcat and be able to get their 3rd mark of excellence. And time is starting to run out. There's no opportunity now to be able to get back towards the cap circle. And oh, there we go. There's the Super Hellcat. TAHK is going to bomb it forwards and actually ram the Super Hellcat, taking 40 damage, now down to 50 hit points. That was a little bit scary. But to be fair, TAHK did ram the Super Hellcat for 500. Can you imagine what a joke it would have been if TAHK had actually managed to ram kill themselves to death there? But at least they look like they managed to definitely win the battle and most likely pick up their 3rd mark of excellence. And also, they actually did Heavy Tank 9 at the same time for ram killing a vehicle that is 1 tier higher for the Object 260. So congrats to you on that. Oh, I mean, it was so greedy to not cap at the end of the game here, but considering what kind of rewards that TAHK got, you know what, I'm going to let this one slide, mate. But this isn't the only vehicle that you're going to have a choice of getting completely for free in the month of May and June. You could also choose the Dicamax. So if being a big old Japanese Tiger is not your thing and you want to be more of a sneaky, flexible German, then look no further than the Dicamax. And today's hero is going to be okablysk, who is playing in this tier 6 German premium tank destroyer. The Dicamax is great for about 3 main reasons. Number 1, it's gun depression. It's incredible. 15 degrees of gun depression gives you one of the most flexible guns in the game, allowing you to work the ridgeline and surprise your opponents. Number 2, it's got really good base view range, 400 meters. This means that if you use the field mods on this tank, and you combine it with situational awareness, brothers in arms, and recon, you are going to have 440 meters view range even without coated optics. Now, if you use a premium consumable, you're going to have like 460 meters view range, meaning that you will never have to take coated optics on this tank. However, for all of the free-to-play players out there who think it's a little bit too cheeky to take chocolate, then you are going to be wanting to take coated optics on this tank for a long-range snipey map. Now remember, the Dicamax, unfortunately, as it's an open-top tank, can't use vents, so you've got to watch out for that because of the view range issue that you will have. Otherwise, if you did manage to get all of the crew skills, and you did have vents on this tank, then you wouldn't need coated optics even if you were a free-to-play player. Now, what this means is it actually frees up an equipment slot so you can use something really funky on this tank. Now, okablysk is actually going for an overkill view range build here for him to be able to outspot his opponent's decent distance. He's probably going to be packing at least about 500 meters view range at tier 6, which is outrageous. He's combining that with a gun rammer to give them rate of fire, and he's also combining it with an aiming device to improve the vehicle's relatively nice accuracy. I think okablysk has this set up when he knows that he's never really going to have to leave his location. Personally, for me on this tank, I like to use a gun rammer, a turbo, and yeah, just like a flex pick for the additional one. You could use a rotation device to be able to try and improve the reverse speed of the vehicle, or you could try and take coated optics to be able to improve that view range. Or, you know what, from what okablysk is going to be showing us here, if you do decide to improve that accuracy, it does get fairly formidable on this tank. So here we go. The German tier 6 tank destroyer shooting at the German tier 6 heavy. That Tiger 131 is not long left for this world, and this is just the dream scenario for a Dicamax. You know, getting on a ridgeline with almost infinite gun depression, as much as you can pretty much possibly have inside World of Tanks, and just getting to outspot your opponents. Now, it would be nicer if they were a little bit further away, because if they were a little bit further away, then that would mean that they couldn't really see okablysk. However, with them being about 200 to 300 meters, they probably will be spotting okablysk here. The Dicamax is no slouch when it comes to camera rating, however. Its camera rating is not bad, although it's not incredible for a tier 6 tank destroyer, so you're not going to be as sneaky as something Swedish or possibly even something Soviet at the tier. But, you know what, when you're behind bushes, does that even matter? The only thing that really, really sucks about this vehicle will be the fact that the Dicamax has such a low amount of ammunition that it can carry. It can only carry, what is it, about 30 rounds? Sorry, no, not even that. 26 rounds of ammunition, which means later on in the battle, you will be running out, and if you are the kind of player who wants to take a good amount of AP and a good amount of APCR, in your nice matchups, you might be running out of AP and forced to fire gold, or in your nasty matchups against the tier 8 tanks, you might be kind of slumming it and having to not, you don't have those gold rounds to be able to fire at the end of the battle. But still, the penetration on this tank is decent. 169 on the regular rounds and 227 on the premium rounds, so that is not exactly bad for a tier 6 tank. And I have to admit, the Dicamax is possibly one of the most funky tanks in the game for a scenario like this. If you're an aggressive player, this probably isn't going to be the one for you. This is definitely for the player who wants to just hang back, relax, set up a line of fire, work a position. And look at this, okablysk is trying to hold back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks. 6 tanks in this scenario with only a gorilla in support. Let's see who is going to win. Is it going to be okablysk, or is it going to be the 6 enemies on the enemy team? Well, let's just take a look. Alright, so KV-1 SA now caught out behind the building, not quite having a shot there, but an easy shell right into the side of the German medium tank. And every time the Dicamax hits you, you regret it. 300 alpha damage is not bad for any kind of a tank destroyer at tier 6. It's definitely one of the highlights of this vehicle, especially when you're rolling high like okablysk is here. 337, 313, 349. As long as you don't start low rolling okablysk, this is actually going pretty good. And okablysk is not only going to be holding back these tanks, he's also going to be lighting them up, hopefully, for his team, who really need to be pushing that eastern flank. You know, summer is starting to come in, and occasionally we do have a warm day or two in the UK, just very occasionally. And so I might actually start occasionally sweating a little bit. I have to admit, okablysk is probably going to be sweating quite a lot in this situation, especially considering finally the enemies find his armor and manage to shed a few more of his hit points. And when you're in any tier 6 tank destroyer, yeah, you don't have very many hit points to go around. Luckily, the Hellcat manages to finish off the Skoda T25, and this T-3485 probably realizes that the enemy are weak, that the enemy are all spotted over down the east, and so they can go and push Okablysk in this situation. However, Okablysk has other things to say, and that is, I'm holding the line in my German tank destroyer. Why did I do the accent? I'm sorry to all of my lovely Deutsch viewers out there. I apologize. I will not go full Schnellfetus on the stream today. You come and ask on Twitch if you want to hear my terrible German accent, as it comes out occasionally, every once in a while, especially when I do like to power through some of the German tanks. Oh, that is what Germany is all about, shutting down heavy tanks, spotting for the Hellcat here at long range, and Okablysk is putting off some impressive damage here. 3,486 damage with 686 assistance. Okablysk is pretty much a one-man army right now, holding back 6 vehicles and spotting for the Hellcat to be able to get shots in the side. In addition to that, the artillery hits the T-3485 with Voiton 2 playing their Hellcat, finishing them off, and now Okablysk is now up to 4,600 combined. Pretty casual, right? And yeah, I have to admit, the 2 replays that you're seeing today, they definitely are absolutely incredible. Don't think that if you decide to activate my bonus codes, do all of your missions, and come and watch my stream, that you're guaranteed to get games like this. These 2 vehicles, they're not bad by any means, but they're definitely not S-tier vehicles. But one thing we are definitely seeing is S-tier gameplay from heroes like Okablysk in this battle. Alright, so in this situation, Okablysk just has to hope that the Panzer IV is going to finish off the artillery quickly, because this lightly armored German tank destroyer is not going to take a hit very well from it. But unfortunately for Okablysk, the artillery actually finishes off the Panzer IV, but whoa, look at that gun depression. What a complete troll this tank is over the ridgeline against the VK, who was locked down by artillery and crest. Although I feel bad for calling out the Panzer IV now, as the Panzer IV now says sorry in the chat. Oh no, buddy. It's okay, because when you've got a player like Okablysk on your team, you're allowed to die to artillery at least occasionally. And luckily the Hellcat goes in, finishes off the pesky tier 5 Soviet self-propelled gun, and that allows Okablysk a little bit of a respite now to hopefully find the KV-1 and the tier 6 Japanese medium tank, the Cheeto, on the enemy team. Wow, this is an awesome game for the Dickomax, and can you believe that Okablysk only had to drive about 100 or 200 meters away from cap to be able to find this position? And you'll be surprised how many positions the Dickomax can actually find. It's got so much flexibility that it just turns certain positions into sniper nests that other tanks can only dream of. However, with so much gameplay so far and so many shots that Okablysk has managed to smash in, it's actually only got 3 armor-piercing rounds left. The Hellcat says, I get mission if we win. Whoa, well, the pressure's on now, Mr. Hellcat. Luckily, the Hellcat's on full HP, and Okablysk tries to shoot down the building. However, they aren't looking at the minimap, and that is that you can tell which buildings you can shoot by the color. You see how the building that the Cheeto is behind is black? That means you can't shoot it down. However, you see all these grey buildings here? They're actually destructible buildings. So if you want to see which ones you can knock down and which ones you can't knock down, just look at your minimap and you'll be able to see. And let me know in the comments down below if you didn't realize that, because it's always funny. Whenever I say that on Twitch, there's always at least a couple of people like, whoa, I had no idea. Or talk about have no idea. Okablysk, you just wasted 2 of your remaining 3 armor-piercing rounds in this situation. But luckily, the aiming device really pays off there, and Okablysk manages to put 1 more round into the Cheeto, now with an HE shell that does 69 damage, allowing the Hellcat to finish them off, meaning that they get 9 kills between these 2 tier 6 tank destroyer heroes at the end of the game. And it looks like Okablysk truly was the gingerbread man here, as none of the enemy, despite how many of them there were able to catch this tier 6 German tank destroyer and devour them. And when you can't manage to catch a Dickomax, you definitely don't want to be on the receiving end of this tank in a sneaky position. So TAHK had the heavy tank number 6 game that you can only dream about, securing their 3rd mark of excellence, and ace tanker unsurprisingly for 2,000 base experience, a steel wall for blocking a load of shells, which this tank doesn't usually do too often, a high caliber, and a cheeky kamikaze at the end of the battle against that AFK Super Hellcat. Okablysk, on the other hand, just demonstrates the sheer German sneakiness and firepower this tank has, with 2002 base experience giving them an ace tanker, a patrol duty for doing so much spotting against a variety of vehicles in this game, and they also make a very meaty profit, as both of these two tanks that you can be able to get this month are fully fledged premiums. That unless you're spamming gold rounds, like maybe our heroes did a little bit here, you're going to make very meaty profits. So if you like what you see here and you want to be able to get one of these two tanks completely for free, let me tell you what you're going to have to do. Firstly, activate both of the codes that you see, or you can click the links in the description down below. That will start you off with a bunch of tokens. Next, you want to tune in to my Twitch streams on Mondays and Fridays and make sure you claim the drops and do the missions in game. And if you want to see how many tokens you've accumulated, you can always click in through your depot, then click the Homefront supplies, and then enter the token store where you get to spend your tokens. For the last monthly drops, I must have given away thousands, if not tens of thousands of tanks like the TOG, the Firefly, the M4A1 FL10, or the vehicle that I decided to pick up for myself on my free-to-play account. I got myself a Poodle completely for free. And I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Wargaming for enabling me to be able to give so generously to thousands of my community. I really appreciate it, Wargaming. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to give a massive thank you to TAHKisLegendAgain and also to okablysk for uploading their 2 epic games in 2 epic tanks that my Twitch audience will be picking up in May and June. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live, I'm going to be live too on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby, delivering you monthly tokens, as I will do every Monday and every Friday for the next 6 weeks when they start at 2 o'clock UK time. That's 3 o'clock Central European Summer Time. So really looking forward to putting on a show and giving away a load of great tanks. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.